für richtig hältst. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich
Yo, what's up, legends? Welcome back to Ultimate Top 10s, the channel where we dive deep into the craziest tech, darkest secrets, and most insane war machines history tried to hide. Today we're unlocking 10 secret Nazi weapons and projects that were so advanced, they almost changed the outcome of World War II. From suicide missiles to real-life flying saucers, and rockets that paved the way to space, this is the twisted tech base you weren't taught in school. So, buckle up, hit that like button, and let's dive into the madness. Number 1, 1943. Germany's vengeance weapons and the V1 or V2 rocket plans. By 1943, Allied forces were hammering German cities from the sky, but Hitler still refused to admit defeat. In a desperate attempt to lift morale, he turned to his propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels to stir up hope through revenge. The result? The so-called vengeance weapons. These were the V1 flying bomb and the V2 rocket, Germany's answer to Allied air raids. Even though these weapons were still in development, the Nazis hyped them up as if they'd turn the tide of the war. The V1 was basically an early cruise missile, while the V2 was the world's first ballistic missile. Eventually, they did reach London in 1944, but by then, it was already too late to change the outcome. Number 2. The secret Nazi city of Pundu, deep inside Nazi territory, hidden from the world, was a mysterious satellite city called Pundu. The surface, it looked like a futuristic hub with sleek buildings and advanced labs. But underneath that modern facade was something far darker, a brutal labor camp. Here, prisoners were forced to work under horrific conditions, used as disposable resources for Germany's advanced tech projects. Scientists and engineers lived better lives, but they weren't truly free. Their families' safety depended on their loyalty to the regime. Private trains ferried them in and out of this secret town, which housed cutting-edge research centers, weapon factories, and test sites. Pundu was Germany's twisted answer to places like Los Alamos or Cape Canaveral. Number 3. The V1 buzz bomb and the kamikaze Reichenberg. The V1, nicknamed the buzz bomb for its loud, pulsing jet engine, was one of Germany's first attempts at unmanned missile strikes. Launched from occupied France, it terrorized London in 1944, randomly slamming into homes, hospitals, and crowded streets. Out of over 9,000 V1s launched, about 2,500 actually hit London, killing thousands and injuring even more. But Germany wasn't done. They modified the V1 to include a cockpit and controls, turning it into a manned suicide plane called the Reichenberg. These were meant to crash into Allied targets in kamikaze-style attacks, but poor design, risky handling, and dwindling resources kept them grounded. The Reichenberg symbolized just how desperate things had become for the Nazi war machine. Number 4. The birth of the V2 rocket at a covert Nazi facility. German engineers were working on something massive, a rocket that would become the foundation of future space exploration. Spearheaded by Wernher von Braun, they created the A4 rocket, later called the V2. It was a missile built for war, but von Braun had bigger dreams. His obsession wasn't just military. He wanted to reach beyond Earth. For him, each successful launch was a step closer to space travel. So while the V2 was used to hit Allied cities, it also marked the start of modern rocketry and the beginning of the journey to space. Number 5. The V2, a technological leap in the 1940s. Von Braun's team at Peenemünde pulled off something no one else had. They launched the first long-range ballistic missile. The V2, powered by a liquid fuel engine, flew at over 3,500 million and hit without warning. It was a terrifying achievement. Starting in September 1944, the V2 began striking London and Antwerp, killing thousands. The Allies couldn't shoot it down mid-air, but they did manage to cripple the Nazi supply lines and production sites. In the end, the V2 didn't win the war, but it laid the groundwork for space travel and the Cold War's missile race. Number 6. A lost chance. Germany's air defense failure. By 1944, the Allies had total air superiority, but Germany might have had a chance to fight back if they'd focused on defense. One Allied bombing run hit a Nazi convoy carrying what could have been a game changer, the Typhoon missile, the world's first ground-to-air defense system. If Germany had shifted its energy toward building a proper air defense in 1943 instead of investing everything in offensive rockets like the V2, they might have blunted the Allied bombing campaigns. But they didn't. That strategic mistake cost them dearly. Number 7. The Typhoon missile. Fast forward to today, and engineers are carefully reconstructing a single Typhoon missile, an eerie piece of Nazi tech that never saw mass production. The idea behind the Typhoon was revolutionary. Launch rockets from the ground to take out enemy planes. It could have been a turning point in aerial warfare. But Nazi Germany, obsessed with offense, never built enough of them. The few that did exist show how advanced and desperate their weapons programs had become. Number 8. Germany's vertical takeoff aircraft. As Germany's situation worsened, the need for rapid air response became urgent. Engineers began designing experimental aircraft that didn't need runways. They could launch vertically. These included rocket-powered fighters that could shoot into the sky at insane speeds to intercept Allied bombers. One wild idea was the Focke-Wulf rotary jet. It had rocket engines mounted at the ends of its spinning propellers, allowing it to lift straight off the ground. While it never reached production, it was a glimpse into the future of aerial combat, an early step toward the vertical takeoff jets we see today. Number 9. The mysterious Nazi UFO. One of the strangest projects buried in Nazi research was a flying saucer. No joke. According to post-war reports, engineer Rudolf Schriever designed a disc-shaped aircraft called the Schriever Flugkreisel. This nearly 50-foot wide saucer had a central rotor and 3 jet engines. It was supposed to lift off vertically and maneuver like no other plane at the time. While it never actually flew, and might not have even been fully built, the design left behind enough blueprints to stir imaginations for decades. It's one of the most bizarre examples of how far Nazi scientists were willing to go. Number 10. March 1945. Germany's last-ditch gamble. By March 1945, Nazi Germany was on the edge of collapse. Allied forces were closing in, and Hitler was running out of options. The regime clung to the hope of a superweapon that could save them, but the real game-changer was happening across the Atlantic. In New Mexico, the U.S. was finalizing the E-Kind atomic bomb, a weapon that would truly redefine warfare. Germany had tried to develop nuclear tech under scientists like Werner Heisenberg, but they were far behind. At the war's end, a group of top German and Allied scientists were secretly held at Farm Hall. There, it became clear, the Nazis hadn't just failed to build an atomic bomb, they didn't even understand how it would work. These weapons never fully changed the war, but their blueprints still echo in today's tech. Kinda wild, right? If Nazi science had gone further, who knows what kind of world we'd be living in? Smash that like button, sub for more insane top 10s, and drop a comment. What do you think would have happened if these secret weapons went mainstream? This is Ultimate Top 10s, and we've got more untold history coming at you real soon. Stay curious, stay sharp, peace.